Welcome to a very special episode of The Payoff. We're here to pay tribute to the Hulkster, Hulk Hogan, the Immortal One. For me, Hulk Hogan was my Michael Jordan, my Tom Brady, my Wayne Gretzky, my Tiger Woods. He was the guy. He was the man. He was my favorite athlete, my favorite celebrity, my favorite rock star, pop culture icon, you name it. Hulk Hogan was and will always be the guy for me. Hulkamania aligned perfectly with my childhood. He came onto the scene the year I was born, and all of those great iconic moments that we're going to talk about, they aligned perfectly with my childhood and growing up. So I will be forever grateful for the entertainment and moments and memories that he gave me as a massive, hardcore fan of this crazy little thing called professional wrestling. A couple of things I want to do is, first of all, share a few thoughts on Hulk Hogan, the man, the legacy, everything that we've all been trying to process here 24 hours into hearing this devastating news. I'll also share a few of my personal memories related to Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania. And then the last thing I want to do is share some of the top moments and matches of his career from my eyes. So this is not an objective ranking of top moments and matches. These are just my favorites, and some of them are probably a little differently than yours, but there were certain moments and memories, matches of his that just burned into my mind and will for always be there, and I'll share those in order. I tried to make a top 10, but there were 12, and I had to keep 12 on there. So it's my show. I get to do whatever I want. When I heard the news yesterday, I was sad, but I wasn't shocked. And just based on his age, based on some of the rumors that were out there of his health, based on all these surgeries, it's just always been in the back of my mind, really the last few years, and I feel like especially this year, that every time he did an interview, every time he stepped on screen, every time he made a wrestling appearance, I just always thought, okay, this might be the last time that we ever see him. And I know that's a terrible way to look at it, but it's reality, especially with wrestling, where people die young. They lived hard. They put their bodies through unbelievable things. And the fact he made it to 71 probably in some ways is a miracle, that he was able to go so long and so hard and still be so visible. And it makes me sad that he may have pushed himself too hard here at the end, just promoting a beer, starting a freestyle wrestling promotion, making wrestling appearances, and he was running himself really, really hard. And so I had concerns. So when I heard it, I just thought, felt like this could happen at any point. And, for me, Hulk Hogan's the only celebrity that I ever thought that I'd care when the day came that he passed away. And it's true. It just, you see these things and you're always sad, but yeah, this one for me just hit a little bit differently. And it's just a really hard thing to hear. And of course, I'm just a fan, right? So you feel horrible for his family, for the people he was close to, for the people that he impacted, and look forward to hearing their stories of Terry the man, and hopefully we get some insight into things that maybe we weren't privy to over the years, because there do start to be some stories that we're hearing that just of a really good person, and hearing the good side of him, because man, he's taken a beating over the past really decade over some things that came out. So as far as the professional wrestler, to me, he's number one by a mile. I know we talk about Mount Rushmore and we throw around some of the other pro wrestlers that are in his category. To me, sure, you can make a Mount Rushmore, but Hulk Hogan is number one by a mile. It's not even close. You'll hear people talk about the best in-ring worker or the best promo. Hulk Hogan, to me, He's the biggest star in the history of professional wrestling. He is the biggest professional wrestler, the biggest superstar of all time by a mile. Name recognition, drawing power, what he did for the industry. One of the things that I just find amazing is, to me, he is the biggest babyface, fan favorite, good guy of all time. He's also the biggest bad guy and heel of all time because he reinvented himself later in his career. So not just to be the biggest star of all time, but to be the biggest good guy and the biggest bad guy of all time is really something pretty wild. I don't believe pro wrestling exists in its current form without him. I believe that pro wrestling could look a lot closer to roller derby or other genres that are basically extinct or non-existent at this point. I believe that could have been pro wrestling had Hulkamania not caught fire. You had all these regional promotions. None of them had a national presence. They could have just gone by the wayside, and I believe pro wrestling could really no longer exist or be a fraction of what it is today without him. So I don't think you can overstate his importance to the industry, the genre, and what would have happened had Hulkamania not caught fire in '84, had WrestleMania 1 not taken place, had the WWF not become a national and eventually global powerhouse. And you've seen this with other sports. Superstars, icons, once in a generation, once every couple decades or every decade superstars, they're the ones that move the needle of an entire genre. And we see it in sports. We see it in other genres where one person can have a massive influence. That's what Hulk Hogan did for wrestling. So Vince McMahon could have wanted to go national, could have wanted to go global, could have wanted to have national TV and pay-per-views and travel all over the world, but it wouldn't have happened without having that Hulk Hogan. You start naming names of who you could have put in that spot, and all of them you just go, could that person have been on MTV? Could that person have drawn the crowds? Could that person have been a global sensation? I don't think there was another person out there, even with all the marketing and push and winning all the matches and being all over the promotional stuff. I don't think there's anyone else that could have done that. And without that mega star, I just don't see how all the things that happened happen. Maybe it would have happened eventually, but you just never know. Now, I don't want to dwell or spend a lot of time on the personal stuff related to Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea. I'll say this. None of us, fans, none of us, spectators, have any idea what was in his heart and what was in his head. There's probably a handful of people on this planet that actually do. One of the wisest things that was ever said to me was, how would we all feel and how would we like it if we were defined and judged by the worst thing that we ever said or did? So how would you like that? The worst thing. Think about that for a second. What's the worst thing you ever did? Or the worst thing you ever said? Imagine that being shared with everyone and then you being treated and judged based off of that. Oh, well, we don't like that, but it's okay to do that to celebrities or to other people. And I just don't find it to be fair. A lot of people that knew Terry Bollea really well think really, really highly of him. For fans like us, spectators on the periphery, we don't know these celebrities. We may think we do because we follow them on Instagram. We may think we do because we watched a Netflix documentary of them and they were being interviewed. Look, social media, documentaries, interviews, These celebrities know the camera's rolling. They're not idiots. They know how to work a crowd. They know how to position their character. So someone that says, oh, I watched The Last Dance. I heard everything that Michael Jordan said. I now know him, and I know everything there is to know about the guy. You don't. You saw edited clips when the guy knew a camera was rolling. So I don't think we ever really get to know these people. I don't think that we should judge them by the worst thing they've ever said or did. We don't know what's in their head or heart. So I'm a fan. I'm going to love Hulk Hogan, the character, forever. I'll be interested to hear the stories and the anecdotes that come out about Terry Bollea, the man. But we'll probably never know exactly how he felt about certain things. I'm very sad about how it ended. The last time he ever stepped foot in front of a wrestling crowd, he was booed pretty mercifully. Personally, I found it to be rude. I found it to be incredibly hurtful and disrespectful. If you don't like the guy, stay silent. And I don't know how he felt about that. I think he publicly said, oh, that's just wrestling fans and blah, blah, blah. It had to hurt. And I wish that had not happened for him. And it just made me sad that that's how it ended and we never got him in front of wrestling fans again on a more positive note. I do hope that we get that Last Dance, or in the Undertaker's case, Last Ride style documentary. Give me the 10-piece documentary. Hopefully there's some great interviews that he did, or maybe even things that haven't been published yet, where we can hear from him and learn more about him. I just hope that his legacy is better defined in a more positive way. I hope he gets that documentary treatment. I wish he had been more involved with the product. I wish he had reconciled with wrestling fans. I understand his side of the story. I understand why wrestling fans are upset. It's not about picking sides. It's just about wishing for happiness, wishing for some type of a reconciliation, and certainly we just didn't get it. I wish he had never left the WWF, WWE in the first place. I wish he had been more involved. I wish him and Vince McMahon had a better working relationship. But again, there's so many positive things and so many memories here that we don't need to dwell on the negative stuff. A couple personal memories with Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania. My first one, was November 1st of 1991. So I grew up watching Hulkamania, watching the TV shows, renting the videos, ordering the pay-per-views. But the first time I ever got to see Hulk Hogan live and in person was the first wrestling show I ever attended. November 1st, 1991. Civic Arena, the Igloo, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The main event, and this only happened a handful of times, I think like 3 or 4 times in this era, Hulk Hogan versus the WWF's newest star, Ric Flair. They tried this on a handful of house shows. They decided not to put it on television. Originally, it was talked about as being the main event of WrestleMania 8, but it never happened. So there were only a handful of untelevised Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair matches, and that was the first wrestling show that I ever went to, which is really, really cool. I got to meet Hulk Hogan in 2017. As I waited in line at the meet and greet, my heart was pounding. I've met a lot of these wrestlers impromptu or meet and greets, and never once was I ever nervous or excited. It was just you go up, you shake their hand, you thank them for the memories, maybe you share a little anecdote or story with them, and you move on. But man, Hulk Hogan, my heart was racing. I was so excited. It was just incredible to see him in person. He was so gracious and kind with the fans. And when I met him, I shared that my, at the time, girlfriend, who's now my wife, I shared that she was very, very upset and jealous that I got to meet Hulk Hogan and she wasn't with me. She could care less about going to WrestleMania or any of these shows. In fact, she kind of hates it when I drag her to these things. But man, she was jealous that I got to meet the Hulkster. And so I told him this, and he said, get out your phone. Let's send her a video. And what transpired was an impromptu promo, full Hulk Hogan mode. I'm completely marking out and super excited about it. The facials, the promo were great, and it's something that I'll cherish forever. And it just turned out amazing. And he's cutting a promo on her and talking about me being the next Hulk Hogan. It's just ridiculous. So fun. So great picture, great video. And of course, everyone behind me in line was like, I want to cut a promo with Hogan. And the manager of his shop that was managing the meet and greet was like, absolutely not. No one else is doing that. Take your picture and move on. A year later, I had my bachelor party, and I got everyone the Hulkamania tank tops, but put my last name in there instead of Hulk. And so it was great. The yellow tank tops with the red writing in the font, and we ran wild. And a great picture of all of us together. I posted on my wrestling Twitter account, and my phone's blowing up, and I'm like, man, people really like that picture. And I looked at it, and Hulk Hogan retweeted it like almost immediately, which was awesome. So it completely blew up, and it was really cool. And then my last personal Hulk Hogan memory, and it's amazing that my wife went through with the wedding after I suggested this, but for our grand entrance when we came in, it was to Real American. I had the Winged Eagle belt on. We were both wearing the red and yellow boas. Real Americans blasting. I went nuts. Adrenaline was running, and I look at the video, and it's pretty wild how intense I was. Did the full Hulk Hogan pose, put the belt on her, went nuts with all my bridal party. It was so cool, such great pictures. And, I realized, I'm getting married. I really don't care what anyone thinks. I'm just going to completely mark out. So that was really cool. All right, last thing I want to share is some of my favorite Hulk Hogan matches, moments. I tried to make a top 10 list. I got down to 12. I wasn't backing down. So I'm going to give you 12. I'm going to start with number 12, and then we'll count down all the way to number 1. Number 12 is WrestleMania 30. We're at the Superdome in New Orleans. Hulk Hogan comes out to start the show. Place goes wild. He cuts a promo. He's eating it up. Crowd's loving it. And then, boom, glass breaks. Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out. Place goes wild. They go back and forth. And then The Rock comes out. So you had these three icons. It's just one of those incredible pictures from pro wrestling where the three of them all in their gear, in their respective gimmicks, are sitting there, and the crowd just went absolutely crazy for it. Really, really memorable. The significance of it being the 30th WrestleMania. So you have these three icons in the ring, and Hulk Hogan, who started it all. And we really didn't get a lot of that. I mean, there were some sporadic Hulk Hogan appearances over the years, but especially the last 10 years, very little in terms of those big WrestleMania moments. And to me, I wish Hulk Hogan had kicked off every WrestleMania like that because of the significance of the event and possibly genre not existing without him. My next one, number 11. Hulk Hogan versus Vince McMahon, Safeco Field, WrestleMania 19 in 2003. It was just wild, the build-up for this, because they brought so much nostalgia in there. And Hulk Hogan, the red and yellow, Vince McMahon, the evil heel who may have been the best heel character of all time. I think Hulk Hogan was the best heel wrestler of all time when he was with the NWO, but Vince was the best heel character. And so the two of those, they're calling it the 20 years in the making. They had a great brawl, some outside interference. Hulk Hogan wins. They're both bloody. That was a really, really cool match and moment, and great build to that with the promo before the match and all the nostalgia. Number 10 is one of my big what-ifs in pro wrestling. It was the Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels match SummerSlam 2005. The build to this match was pretty wild. You had Shawn Michaels turn on Hulk Hogan and become this short-term heel. The promos between the two were so intense back and forth that it seemed to create some real-life drama. And by the time we got to the match, these two were not fans of each other. And probably two of the bigger egos in professional wrestling history just did not mix well. And so this match was interesting. Shawn Michaels was over the top with his selling and antics, which kind of ruined the match. But it was really good. The fans loved it. And I say this was one of my biggest what ifs because this to me should have been a trilogy. We have the first match, then we get the rematch, who the other guy wins, and then we have that blow-off third match. This could have been a 4 to 6 month feud, and by that third match, you could have done anything. I think you could have done a Hell in a Cell match. Shawn was so good in the ring that these two, even at Hogan's age, they could have had 3 great matches. They could have been the biggest thing of the year, the biggest feud of the year. So could have been better. Number 9 was Hulk Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter, WrestleMania 7. Didn't love the tie-in with the Gulf War and the way they positioned Sergeant Slaughter, but what I loved about this match was, we'll call it the pageantry. Hulk Hogan with the American flag, all bloody at the end. He overcomes Sergeant Slaughter. The place went nuts. The entire LA Sports Arena was decked out in red, white, and blue. They're selling this patriotic thing. Hogan wins over the evil foreign villain. And what was interesting about this is it was the return of Hulk Hogan. So the year prior, he had lost his title. So it just felt like a great redemption. And again, I really like that. The next one is number 8. This one, for some people, probably is ranked higher. I was not born yet, so it's something that I didn't watch live, but I've gone back and really appreciated. I only recently watched this match in totality, but it's the match where Hulkamania really is born. That era starts. He wins his first WWF Championship, Madison Square Garden, January 23rd, 1984. The place went nuts. I mean, you go back and you watch this match, you watch the fans. Of course, there's not a smartphone, and people are just glued to it. And the arena was absolutely electric. It was wild. So I love that match, love that moment. Number 7 was, again, I probably have it ranked higher, but it was just so fun to see. It's Hulk Hogan defeating Triple H in 2002 at Backlash to win what would be his final WWE World Championship. He's back in the red and yellow. One final Hulkamania title win. At his age, we never thought we would see it again. It was just a really, really cool moment and match. Number 6 is one that I loved. I love it far better than most people. It's Hulk Hogan in Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas at WrestleMania 9, winning the World Championship in a match he wasn't even in. And especially for this era, stuff like this just didn't happen. It was shocking. So keep in mind, Hulk Hogan had been gone for the better part of a year. And he hadn't been champion in 18 months. So he's in a tag match earlier in the show. They don't win the tag team titles. We think we've seen the last of them. And then he comes out at the end and he defeats the new world champion, Yokozuna. Again, keep in mind, I'm 9 years old at the time. It was incredible. And the fans went nuts. It was so fun to see that match, that moment take place. And I just absolutely loved it. Now, these last 5, you could probably put in any order. I probably will change my mind on these as time goes along. But as we sit here today, number 5, Hulk Hogan joining the NWO. I was so fortunate to watch this match live. Who's the third man going to be that's going to join Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and take over WCW? Hulk Hogan comes out, and oh, he's here to save the day. He's the red and yellow good guy Hulk Hogan. And he becomes a heel. This was the greatest heel turn in the history of professional wrestling, and it's not even close. We throw around these other heel turns like they're in the same ballpark as this one, and it's not. Hulk Hogan was never going to turn heel. He was never a bad guy. He was never, ever, ever going to go down that road, and then here he is. It was shocking. Then the promo he cuts after. It's funny because sometimes when people become a heel after they've been a good guy their entire career, it takes them a while to find their footing. Man, Hulk Hogan just leaned right into it. He cuts this incredible heel promo. They're throwing garbage at him. Hey, the fans can stick it. He was in that moment instantly on the fly with no real prep to it. The greatest heel of all time. I mean, it was unbelievable how quickly that happened. That was great. Number 4, Hulk Hogan versus The Rock. Skydome, Toronto, WrestleMania 18. Hulk Hogan had been gone forever. His last WrestleMania was WrestleMania 9, so this is 9 years later. He's back. He has that iconic face-to-face with The Rock. How about one more time at WrestleMania with The Rock? We're going to headline this. I mean, it was that promo and that build was unbelievable. You could tell me that this match had the best crowd in the history of professional wrestling, and I'd say, I can't think of one better. These guys, the crowd was incredible. The match was wild. Hulk Hogan basically becomes the babyface during this, so they have to shift the entire match. The Rock wins, the young guy, the up-and-comer, the other icon, but then they shake hands. Hulk Hogan then turns babyface pretty much the next night in Montreal. This was just great, great, great cinema. Many will say if you're going to go watch one Hulk Hogan match, this is the one to watch. And it's hard to argue that. Our final 3, and these are so tough here. This is, again, all personal preference just based on nostalgia and my fandom. The third one is Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. And the build to this, we're building to this for a year. They're best friends. They're mega powers. They're iconic. Macho's coming out in the red and yellow. They're tagging together. It's the 2 biggest baby faces in the promotion, creating this just incredible partnership. They're shaking hands. You have the pageantry of Miss Elizabeth in there managing them. And then Randy Savage gets jealous. He notices Hulk Hogan has lust in his eyes. And they have this incredible blow up. Saturday night's main event. Randy Savage, who's already your champion, goes from babyface champion to a heel champion, which has maybe only happened a handful of times in the history of the business, while champion transitioning. Now he's this bad guy. He's jealous. The intensity of Hulk Hogan, the real-life tension between these two, there was just always that intensity. And then we get Hulk Hogan defeating Randy Savage to win back his championship. This was incredible. This was a coin flip for me between number 3 and number 2. Absolutely loved it. You can argue this is the best storyline of all time. This is the best build-up to a match of all time. It was so methodical. It happened over the course of a year. Just incredible long-time storytelling. And then the iconic look of these 2 superheroes. Now, speaking of which, 2 superheroes, number 2, Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior. They have this iconic face-to-face at the Royal Rumble a few months earlier. These 2 are larger than life. They had never touched before. They had never been in the same ring together. And then, boom, they're going face-to-face at the Royal Rumble. Well, these 2 can't wrestle. They're both good guys. Good guys didn't wrestle each other. And for the first time at this stage, like on this stage, we had these 2 good guys going at it. And Hulk Hogan loses. He loses clean to the Ultimate Warrior in the middle of the ring, and there was this passing of the torch. There's the Gorilla Monsoon, one step towards immortality. It humanized Hulk Hogan. You just didn't see him lose. Certainly not clean like this in the middle of the ring. The Ultimate Warrior is now taking the torch. He's going to be the guy. Now, the only thing that I would change about this match, and I've said it many times before, is imagine if Hulk Hogan turned heel that night. Imagine if that was the birth of Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and believe it or not, it was actually talked about. So everything happens the way it does, but imagine Hulk Hogan goes back in the ring and attacks the Ultimate Warrior. I think there was way more money in that over the next year or two than there was in what they do, because at that point, WrestleMania 6, WrestleMania 7, 90, 91, 92, the shtick started to get a little bit old. We were doing the same thing over and over and over again, and it would have really rejuvenated his character if he did that. But that Hogan Warrior build, the match, the just the visuals of the red and yellow, and then the orangish pink tights of the Ultimate Warrior, it's absolutely iconic. Now, number one, to me, the biggest match in professional wrestling history, the most perfect match, moment, stage, cinema in the history of professional wrestling. It was Hulk Hogan versus Andre, WrestleMania 3, Pontiac Silverdome, 93,173 fans that are there. Andre, the bad guy, Brain is his manager, the tandem of those two. Hulk Hogan's your champion, but can he possibly retain? They were billing Andre as being undefeated, never losing. It wasn't true, but the hell did I know? I believed it. Many of us believed it. So we thought this guy had never lost before. We thought he had never been slammed before. Hulk Hogan slams him. And you just go back and you watch that. You watch the cinema of it. You watch the camera angles. Even though it wasn't technologically advanced, even though there's something just special about the way it was shot and the massive stage that they were on with this huge Silver Dome. It was just incredible. And so I just believe that was the best Hulk Hogan match, the best Hulk Hogan moment, the greatest thing in the history of professional wrestling. It cemented my fandom as just losing myself in the cinema of all of this and how special it all was. So that's all I have. The legacy of Hulk Hogan, we say that Hulkamania will live forever. We say that about certain pop culture icons. The legacy of Hulk Hogan will live on for generations. It is not hyperbole to say that Hulkamania will live forever. And the moments, the impact that he had, it'll last forever. And I feel so fortunate that it aligned with my childhood. So, Hulkster, rest in peace. We love you, man. We will honor and cherish your legacy forever. And we appreciate everything you did for us crazy wrestling fans. Thank you, brother.